So, this is a nice little British brown ale that I made quite a while ago. It's just a really dynamite beer. You can see, I don't know if you can make that out, really clear and keg, and fine it and cold crash it. It's made with Fuggles and Golden Promise. So, brewing today, or tomorrow. I'm getting ready for that, and there's my recipe. This one's called the Galena Galaxy. I've done beers with Galena and Galaxy and other hops, Cascade, but I've never done just a Galena and Galaxy. So the recipe is 8 pounds of Canadian 2-row, 2 pounds of Munich 1, 2 pounds of Vienna, 2 pounds of Maris Otter, 2 pounds of Gold Promise, ½ ounce of biscuit malt, and then my hop schedule is 5 minutes of 2 ounces of Galena at 13.9, and then I call it 4 minutes because that's sort of what it's supposed to represent, but that 4 ounces of Galaxy that's timed at 4 minutes is actually a 20-minute hop stand, which I do at flame out. So flame out and then those 4 ounces. Then I crash, I cool my wort. And then I'm going to, after my primary, in 4 to 5, 6 days or whatever, I'm going to dry hop with an ounce of Galaxy in each. I'm doing about 10 gallons, I mean 2 5-gallon batches each. I'm using 2 different types of yeasts, Y yeast 1332 and Y yeast 1272, one in each 5-gallon batch. I also top crop, so you're going to use 1.5 Werflock pills in the 10-gallon batch, and this one is my second top crop. I count how many times I crop top. I usually stop after 5 or 7 times. And this is my second top crop, so the third time I'm using from original yeast, and I've top cropped from G74, which is also a hoppy beer, a pale ale. So there's the grain bill. I wet mill, so I'm going to be crushing a little later on. And basically I do about half of this. I think it's just under a liter, or about a liter. So I'll do 400 to 500 milliliters and get her nice and wet, spray and mix 4 or 5 times. If you don't know what wet milling is, there's some videos on YouTube that can show you that. Just type in wet milling grains. So that's it for now. This will be obviously in sections and edited later on. So this is my grain crush setup. Got the drill hooked up, and because you wet mill, you can go fast. Now, this comes out, and if you look, it's pretty much all intact, the husks. There's literally hardly any flour. Of course, there will always be flour, but at the same time, every grain is cracked. And ever since I've been doing this, see that one there? It almost doesn't look cracked. It's cracked. They'll open up inside, and this helps prevent stuck sparges. Ever since I've been doing wet milling and getting this type of crack, my percentage of efficiency went up about I'd say about 3%. It's just a bit, but it makes a big difference. No stuck sparges. Never even once using this system. Using this wet milling, and it does make a difference in how easy it is to clarify your beer. So works quite well. So that's set up, ready to go. Put the dough in, put the blankets around it. Suppose I could get something more efficient going on that. I got the water almost ready to go, crushed, ready to go. There's my hops ready to go. I put it in a bag and tie it to the side of the pot handle. I use lactic acid, about 1 to 2 teaspoons depending on the grain bill, with spring water, with my ales, not with my lagers. And with my test strips, I'm always in the range of 5.2. It's better to be on the lower side. So if I see a bit above 5.4, then I'll add a little more, and if I end up with 4.9, that's better. So that's the mash. I cover it with a couple of towels. My temperature stays relatively well. I'm doing I'm at about 150 Fahrenheit for my doughing. My strike temperature was about 163, and by the time, because you mix a few times and get your pH ready and going, I end up with I was at 151. So I want a lower end beer, something on the drier side. I'm gonna do an hour and close to an hour and a half mash, minimum 115, probably shoot for an hour and a half. And I'm only gonna, what I do is I'll add 2 liters of boiling water in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and that will keep me at about 150. But then what I like to do at the lower end is I want my temperature to drop down to about 146, even 145, 144 for about 20 minutes, and grab some beta amylase it helps with the efficiency. So I'm grabbing the alpha amylase right now for just a bit of mouthfeel, and then I want to grab on the lower end for efficiency. I've got my sparge ready to go now. I do 30 liters of sparge water, and I take a good hour to let that sparge through. I use spring water, but not from the store. And my mother has a 200-foot well. She's way out in the middle of nowhere, deep in the country, and that 200-foot well taps into an artesian rock flow, artesian flow down in the deep in the rock. And we had our water tested once, and I'll never forget this guy's comment. He says, "Oh my goodness, this is some of the best water I've ever tested for beer." He says, "This is perfect beer making water." Now, mind you, that's for ales. If I'm doing lagers, I'll buy distilled water or reverse osmosis water and treat it with minerals. So this is my last 20-minute rest. I go in 20-minute increments. I was at 148 last now. That's what it is now. So every 20 minutes I stir. So this is going to be about close to an hour and a half mash rest. So I'm at 148 now, and then over the next 20 minutes that'll get down to about 146. So I'm grabbing a little bit from the lower end, but I stir a lot, and that makes such a difference in efficiency. And so here's my stainless steel spoon, and I just thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown as to how I stir. And I can get this sort of a spin going, or a rolling stir. And I just stir a lot when I do this stir. Good minute or two of stirring. I circle the whole thing, and I'm, as you can see, doing sort of like stirring it up from the bottom. What this does is it moves all the husk around, and what can happen, especially if you're doing the kind of grain milling that I do, where most of the grains are still virtually intact. It can take, you can get pockets deep inside the grain that don't get penetrated by the water. So stirring helps to make sure that all of the starches, even the ones deep within the ends, get penetrated by water and converted by temperature, water temperature. So this is kind of a rough stir because I got a camera in one hand. I've never done this before. This is my first video, as you obviously will see. So there you go.